Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Season 2, Episode 2 of Career Conversations. I am here today with Karen Kelsey, the Relationship Manager at Lime Connect. Hi, Karen. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hi, Annika. Thanks very much for the opportunity. And I am the Relationship Manager for Lime Connect in Canada. I manage the relationships with the companies that we have partnerships with, as well as university campuses across the country, accessibility services and career services primarily. And then I engage with our network members, which are the people who join and are able to access our services.
Karen is with us today to discuss disclosure in the workplace. So we're just going to hop right into the questions. And I believe our first question for you is, one of the most common concerns students with disabilities have when they are beginning their job search is whether or not they should disclose their disability or need for accommodation. Do you have some advice that would help them make that decision?
So the first thing I would say is it is definitely a personal decision. People can make that choice or not. And I think there are some things that people need to think about. There are certainly concerns that people have, which are totally legitimate. We know that people sometimes feel that they might be judged before anyone even gets to know them or their capabilities, that others may think that they're not able to perform at the same level as someone who has or who does not have a disability, that they have been told potentially by family or friends that it's best not to talk about their disability. But we also know that disclosure leads to success. And so my advice and the advice from the Lime Connect team would be, first of all, to do your research on an organization and company. What policies and practices do they have regarding diversity and disability in particular? How supportive are they? Talk to people who work in the organization if you can, get a sense from them what the culture is like. But if you really need an accommodation in order to be successful for either an interview, maybe a pre-screen test, or on the job itself, it's really in your best interest to share whatever information is relevant to your disability that will impact you on the job, and then to go ahead and request that accommodation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that brings us to our next question. When do you think is the best time to share information about someone's disability or request for accommodation?
So I would say it really depends on the situation, what kind of support you may need. And so again, thinking about the recruitment process, it could be ahead of the interview if you're going to need some support in order to be successful during the interview. For example, if you're someone who's hard of hearing and your initial interview is scheduled to be via telephone, of course, that wouldn't be the best way for you to be involved in an interview. So you'd want to let somebody know about that. Suggest a video chat as an example. During the interview, it's an opportunity to really highlight the success that you've had as a person with disabilities. So that may be a great opportunity to talk about some of the things that you've done, that you've accomplished, but also reference your disability in doing so, or potentially to address an awkward situation. Sometimes people may have a disability that's going to become evident during the interview, and rather than having a recruiter wonder what if there's an issue or what the issue might be, it's better to address it. So if you're someone who has difficulty maintaining eye contact, so maybe you're someone who is on the autism spectrum, or you're someone who has low vision, you may want to mention that to someone so that they understand that you're not avoiding them. Ahead of an offer, if you're going to need to have regular medical appointments or maybe personal appointments related to your disability, more so than the average employee would, and you know that you're going to have to do that in order to ensure that you maintain your health, then of course you'd want to know that an employer, a prospective employer, would be able to support you in that. So even before the offer, that's probably something that you would want to bring up. But a lot of people will wait until they've received the offer because they feel more confident. They feel that they've already been identified as the best candidate for the job, and also they may have a better understanding of what the job entails, what the requirements are, and therefore a better understanding about what accommodations they might need. But it could really happen at any time, and sometimes people will start a job thinking that they're not going to need any additional support, any accommodations, and then realize partway through that really for them to perform at their best level, they really are going to need some additional support. So whenever it is that you're going to need that support to enable you to be successful, to do your best, then that's really the best time to bring up some information about your disability and make a request for an accommodation.
And do you have any recommendations for how a person might disclose their disability or make an accommodation request?
Yeah, so I would say, first of all, you want to find out who the best person is to make the request of. During the recruitment process, it would most likely be the recruiter or potentially a hiring manager. But once you're on the job, it could be your actual manager or someone in HR. So you'd want to find out who's going to be able to fulfill that request and really who needs to know. Then when you're making your request or talking about your disability, first of all, you want, I think, to keep that explanation simple, straightforward, only provide the facts. You don't need to get into a detailed medical explanation as an example, but how does your disability affect your job? And then if documentation is required at a later date, of course, you can follow up with that. One of the things that we recommend to people is to try using a metaphor so that people can really relate. And an example of that might be someone who's hard of hearing, who talks about their hearing being like attending a concert where you can hear the music, but you can't make out the words. And so while I think most people can appreciate having been in that experience at some point, this person that would be their everyday experience. So it's something that people can relate to, or someone who's got attention deficit disorder, that their brain functions like a Twitter feed. So they can only take in 140 characters before it jumps to the next feed. And so it's difficult for them to maintain focus and attention. But then they would go on to explain that there are other ways that they can compensate to ensure their success and to be well organized and keep on top of their priorities. So metaphors, I think, are very impactful. Also to share what works for you. So most people, of course, it depends on where they are in their journey with understanding their disability, but most people who have had a disability for some time have a good understanding about what kind of support they need and what tools help them, what strategies help them. And so in your disclosure, you would want to share what's helped you to be successful, because it very likely will translate well into the workforce. And lastly, I would say to practice. Practice having that conversation so that when you do have the conversation, you feel confident and able to share the information that's important, and again, enable your success.
Thank you, Karen, for your insight. I want to wrap things up with asking our last question, which is, what resources can students explore at Lyme Connect?
So we have quite a number of resources, and the first thing that people need to do to really avail themselves of everything that we do offer is to join the Lyme network. There's no charge, so anyone who has a disability can join, and they just have to go onto our website, create a profile, and it's very similar to completing a job application, upload their resume and acknowledge that they have a disability. We don't ask for documentation to support it, but we do ask for the acknowledgement. And so we offer webinars on a variety of topics: disclosure, mental health, and a number of specific disabilities. Preparing for an interview, networking. Some of our corporate partners have offered sessions that are specific to some of the programs that they have. So there are lots of different opportunities to engage with us. We also have a career coach, so you can schedule time with her. She can help with resumes as well as preparing for an interview. Again, if people are looking for some direction regarding their career or a change of direction, our career coach can be very helpful. We also have 2 scholarships. So we have one Google scholarship for anyone studying computer science or tech-related degrees. And we have a BMO Capital Markets Scholarship for business-related degrees, which is actually quite broad. So it could be commerce or business administration, but it could also be marketing, communications, technology, anything that would support the business. But they are looking for people who are interested in financial services. And both are for $5,000 US, and they both also offer an internship opportunity. We also have a number of recruitment events. And right now, of course, we are hosting them all virtually. But when it's safe to do so, we will also move back to including those in-person events in Vancouver. We have a couple each year, in Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal. So the best thing I would say to do is to check out our website or join our network, and you'll get notified by us. But if you're just looking at our website, you'll see the schedule, and the fall schedule will be coming up very shortly. And lastly, we have a number of job postings. Actually, all the job postings of any of our partners are also housed on our website. So once you're a Line Connect member, then all you have to do is go in and search for the type of job you're looking for, or some other criteria that you may choose to use, some of the qualifications or a specific company, and then you can apply directly through our website into their applicant tracking system. So so I think those are all the resources that we have to offer. And I really want to thank you, Annika, and SFU for the opportunity to share the information with your students. And really, anyone who has a disability, I strongly encourage you to join, because you never know what kind of support you may benefit from.
Well, thanks again, Karen, for your insight and helpful advice. It was a pleasure speaking with you today.
Thanks, Annika.